Today's PPI report came in lighter than expected. It ignited another big rally in the market, but is that going to matter if we enter World War III? Dun dun dun. Let's dive into today's price action, and we'll go through some stocks to watch for tomorrow as well. For our box scores, our indices finished the day much higher. Our headline indices finished the session higher, with our ARK Innovation ETF leading the way up 2.72% and our NASDAQ QQQ ETF up 1.38%. Our PPI report came in lighter than expected, and that led to a really nice rally in our TLT bond ETF. It finished up the session up 1.62%. That being said, most of our headline indices did close towards the lower end of their day's range, and we had a pickup in volatility. This all kicked off at 8:30 a.m. when the highly anticipated PPI inflation report came in lighter than expected. Our month-over-month core PPI came in at 0% versus an expectation of plus 0.3%. So that means that core inflation for the month of October was non-existent. Our non-core PPI came in at plus 0.2% versus an estimate of plus 0.4%, also under the expectation. Now remember, the market the entire year has been selling off because inflation has been too hot, and that has led to a spike in interest rates. After getting both a light CPI report as well as a light PPI report, that takes some pressure off of the market and off of the Federal Reserve. As of this recording, there is an 85.4% chance of a 50 basis point rate hike versus a 14.6% chance of a 75 basis point rate hike. Now, all was good and well. The market was rallying. We had junk growth stocks advancing 10, 20, 30%. We were partying hard today, but around lunchtime, we got the news that there were talks of a Russian missile falling in Poland. Now, when this news broke, our dollar index moved swiftly off the lows, flipped green on the session before turning red a few minutes later. The VIX, which is our volatility gauge, also advanced rapidly to the upside. At one point intraday, it was up over 10%, but this indicator also ended up moving off the highs and closed in benign territory. When news like this hits, it is important to look at how the market is reacting. The large money has access to instantaneous news, and they have boots on the ground in almost every location you can imagine. If they're not panicking, then I'm not panicking, and I'm not going to be losing sleep over this situation until proven otherwise. Our best performers into the bell were the Spider Innovative Tech ETF, ticker symbol XITK. That one finished up 4.44%. Our Semiconductors group, which moved into our top momentum slot, finished up 2.9%, and we had the MSOS Cannabis ETF also finishing up 3.7%. We cannot forget that these Chinese internet names were incredibly strong. They finished out the session up 9.56%. The KWEB China Internet ETF was our best sector performer. It finished up 9.56%. President Xi Jinping and President Biden both had a meeting. Apparently it went well, and this one moved to the upside. We do have a VPOC ahead of us at the 27.59 level. Within this group of stocks, we have Pinduoduo, which approached the prior swing highs from September. We have Futu, which has already doubled off the lows in late October. And we have Alibaba, which closed above the 50-day simple moving average, above this monthly value area. And we have a VPOC up above at $88.19. The S&P 500 zoomed to the upside in the pre-market as soon as we got that PPI, but then it faded into the end of the session. It's important to remember that the market bottomed out on October 13th, and that was when we had received hot inflation reports for the month of September. With the gift of 2020 hindsight, it is now obvious that big money could tell back in October that inflation was decelerating, and they positioned to the long side in anticipation of these lighter than expected inflation prints for October. So can I really blame any of them for selling into today's strength? Absolutely not. Now that we had a light PPI print and we also had a light CPI print, and we have the strong seasonality into the end of the year, do we really have a sell signal? No. And I think that's where a lot of traders can get tripped up. They might see the market as being overbought and say, oh my gosh, I'm just going to short the market here because it's gone up so much. But if there's no sell signal and there's very light activity in the market, there's a good chance that we actually just have a slow grind higher in the market. Keep in mind, we still have this 200-day simple moving average looming above at around 4,080 on the S&P 500. The NASDAQ took out this red VPOC up here at about 12,097 before backing off later in the session. We're still elevated above this 5-day EMA, so we can't rule out another day of choppy action. Our Russell 2000 reconfirmed its strength above the 200-day simple moving average, and our Dow Jones continued to move sideways after a really nice move off the lows in October. Since we are now in an environment where the TLT bond ETF appears to have bottomed, I would imagine that the Dow Jones is very likely to be an underperformer as we enter the end of the year. And perhaps the ARK Innovation ETF can have some continued strength above this monthly value area high. We have our VPOC above us right here at $42.29. There is one key component that is preventing the ARK Innovation ETF from really rallying to new heights. And that is the fact that Tesla has been showing such relative weakness. It really is a shame. We've had plenty of insider selling from Elon Musk to finance his Twitter deal, and I would imagine there's a lot of Tesla shareholders that are a bit salty that they now have a part-time CEO. If this stock is able to establish itself inside of this monthly value area and make a nice move through it, that's where we could see the ARK Innovation ETF really surprise to the upside. Into today's market strength, we did take some profits. We closed out our ANET January 20th 130 strike calls for $10.50. We had paid $7.80 for that position. And this one still looks like it could have a nice move higher into the end of the year. If we get another pullback to this 5-day EMA, I would consider reestablishing this position, but I wanted to make sure to reduce some of the leverage in my portfolio, given the really nice strength we had in the market this morning. We also closed out our GFS call options for $6.80. We had paid $6.70 for this position all the way back in August. I noted that this position was pretty much dead money for a couple months, and given the fact that I wouldn't establish a new position at this extended level, I went ahead and took this position off the books. This is another stock where if we get a pullback to some of these key moving averages, I would definitely consider reestablishing this position. We also closed out 1/3 of our Coinbase November 18th 55 by 62 by 69 call butterfly for $2.10. We had paid $1.45 for this position. This was about a 40% and change gain in just one trading session. When you're trading butterflies, they can go from being very nicely in the money to a max loser pretty quickly. So I always make sure to scale out of these positions when I see profits. The one new position that we added was Paramount. We added the May 19th, 2023 17.5 strike calls for $4.10. We discussed this name in yesterday's market recap video. Warren Buffett has actually established a position in this stock and it has a pretty high short interest. So what are some stocks to watch for tomorrow's session? ARRY, this stock has been attempting to break out above these summer highs, but sellers continue to step in whenever this stock attempts to break out. We're long this name via common stock, so we don't have to worry about time decay, and that's why I'm just letting this position marinate for the time being. ON Semi is another semiconductors name that we're watching. Remember, the SOX Semiconductors Index is now in our top momentum slot. This company moved very quickly up the right-hand side of this base, and now we've had a few days of consolidation. I am looking for this stock to consolidate sideways and for some of these short-term moving averages to catch up before establishing a new position here. SE is an emerging market name that just reported earnings this morning. What's so unique here is that this company slightly beat on their earnings, but they reduced their guidance for the following quarter, and the stock still finished up 36%. This one has a VPOC up at $74.43. That could be a good target in the immediate term. And finally, the MSOS Cannabis ETF. We're now consolidating above this monthly value area, and this group is not nearly as extended as some of the other groups within the market. Hope that helps in your preparation for tomorrow's session. Overall, it is important not to panic. We're still in relatively overbought conditions, but we don't have a sell signal. I want to make sure over the coming weeks that I'm selling into strength. That way I'm not freaking out when the market has the inevitable dip. You don't want to get shaken out of your positions because you were buying overextended and then you're forced to sell at the lows. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment. It really helps for the algorithm. We just hit 500 subscribers on the channel. We're on the road to 1,000.